This is the soundboard for a Falstaff guitar, Engelmann spruce, as a standard bracing pattern. Paul has made the braces and glued them on and done most of the shaping. I'm going to finish it off now. I hope you can hear me above all this noise. But, there's no doubt I will do a little bit of this sort of thing because it's fun. But I know what I'm trying to achieve. I don't need to test each individual soundboard to know what I want to achieve. I've built a structure, and the structure is what I want it to be. If I take any more wood off it than I want to be there, it won't be the structure that I want. You don't get a bridge designer coming along later on and filing a bit more metal off the bridge because he wants to be a bit better. It's a bridge. You can't file any more metal off or it won't be a bridge. It'll be a lump of metal in the bottom of the sea. So I know what I want, and that's what I'm going to do. I've learned from experience that the bracing I was using a few years ago does not need that bit of wood there. I want to take it off. I want to round it off, and the rest can be done with a bit of sandpaper. And I'm getting a bit of a nicer bass response by making these braces a bit more flexible. I don't need that bit of wood in there. I need it transitioning from the thick piece to the thin piece a little bit more smoothly. Likewise in there. I want that peak to be a bit further in. I want the edge to be flexible over a wider length. So I'm taking those braces out. I want it to be flexible in here because I want this to operate like a whip. I don't want to take the hollow out in the middle. That's just taking weight out and making everything more and more flexible and lighter. All you do with that is get more bass response. Let's move this. More or less a triangle shape, a slightly curved triangle shape. Is, apart from being pretty to look at, it's a very efficient shape in terms of strength versus weight. Any bits of raggedness will be taken off with the sandpaper in a moment. And I want it to be flexible here, but I don't want the whole thing to move, so we can just weaken it a little bit behind the bridge. Well, just to please you, we can listen for noises if we want to. I don't want the guitar soundboard to respond at one frequency. I want it to respond at all frequencies. So I want it to have a life, I want it to be lively, but I don't want it to shout at you because that implies the guitar is going to have a predominant tone. I don't want it to have a predominant tone or a predominant note. I want it to be to respond evenly. I don't want it to shout. I don't like human beings that shout, and I don't like guitars that shout. There needs some weight in them, there needs some strength for what I call pure tone. Paul is now going to sand that up and get it ready for assembly onto the guitar. But before he does that, he's going to do a bit of work on the back. We're using mahogany for back braces currently because we have quite a lot that's too small for anything else, and we used to use it all the time. And there's various ways of doing it. You can put the braces on first and then put the reinforcement strip afterwards. We've tried it all ways over the years. This is a nice cheeky little way of doing it. Once you've got the skill of doing it, it's quick and accurate. So Paul Superman number 2 is going to demonstrate said job.
Knock them out. That's it.
Up on the wall here, there's sort of a history of the bracing patterns we've used over the years. It's not quite a timeline. Top left, that's a guitar made 1969, 1970. Can't quite remember. Before file guitars started. You can see it's a combination of an X brace and a fan strutting of a classical guitar. not strong enough for steel strings in various ways. So that didn't last long. Next one, these designs here are very similar, the three in the middle, used some form of that through most of the 70s and 80s. A double X brace with the long extended braces going up to the neck block. That makes the whole soundboard rather tight and stiff, and in order to release it, you have to take lots of wood off in certain places just to make it more flexible. There's a slight development as you go on, and that was a bit more, probably about 20 years ago. X-brace and the more conventional, what people do tend to call finger braces and tone bars, not the words that I use. And that's more or less the shape and the bracing pattern that we use now. This is for a bouzouki with 8 strings on, which explains why the bridge plate is so large. But that's more or less what we're doing nowadays. Fairly consistent. It even shows in small instruments like this. This is a 5-string guitar, which the owner calls a quintar. Same bracing pattern, just much smaller, only 5 strings, and it's a smaller instrument, so it's very, very strong inherently, so the bracing gets shaved very small. And this is going to have a bevel on the corner, so we're shaving the braces short. And there's the sides to go with it. That's the bevel, where the bevel will go. Quilted maple, which is a nice clean white wood to use for a change.